How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Now today we've got something a little bit special for you. It's some bonus content for the week. It's a massive compilation of some of the scariest video clips going round. So sit back, relax and enjoy. YouTuber Donnie Drunkard is certainly no stranger to the supernatural. We've featured several of his videos before, and in this clip has yet another petrifying encounter with a shadow entity that is said to be haunting his house. The video begins with text explaining that the shadow figure had just charged at the YouTuber in the hallway. He felt a hard slap across his face before retreating to the safety of his bedroom. There he lies on the bed while petting his dog. Even the dog seems uneasy, possibly aware of the otherworldly presence.
Protect Daddy. Yeah. Thank you.
The YouTuber soon sums up the courage to investigate the rest of his house. He opens the door and points the camera into the hallway where you can see a ceiling light swinging around slowly by itself. He walks towards the light, giving viewers a close-up before turning the camera down a set of stairs. Suddenly, there's a loud bang. The video then cuts to footage from a static camera that's been placed in the basement. Check out what he captured. As you can see, an ominous black figure flies out of the darkened passageway, disappearing over the top of the camera. While it's difficult to make out the shape in any great detail, if you slow the footage down, it becomes a little clearer. It looks like something wearing a dark sheet or robe. Viewers have suggested that Donnie Drunkard should seek out a priest to bless the house and hopefully force the entity to leave. Others think the situation could be even more serious and that this YouTuber should immediately look for somewhere else to live. Walking alone during nighttime is creepy enough for most people, as we usually associate the evening with the mysterious and scary. For instance, some may fear coming across a sinister individual with evil intentions. On the other hand, others become much more terrified at the thought of coming face to face with a supernatural being. A chilling TikTok video uploaded by Ashmore YT gives us an example of the latter, creeping viewers out. A man walks down a sidewalk at nighttime, flashlight in hand to illuminate his view. As he passes a wall, a black entity seems to emerge straight from the wall itself. The man stops walking and slowly turns around, his light illuminating the mysterious figure, which sits completely still. The man then walks near the black mass to give it a closer look. As the man continues to approach the entity, it seems to grow smaller until it slowly vanishes from view. Here's another look in slow motion and zoomed in. As it's nighttime and the black mass appears near a wall, the shape could be explained as being the shadow of a streetlight or other lamp being turned on. However, the fact that the mass only appears after the man has walked by is strange on its own, not to mention the vanishing after he inspects it. Either way, the man should be happy that nothing bad happened to him, and his bravery should be applauded. Battlefields have long been a hotspot for paranormal enthusiasts. After all, we're better to catch a ghost on film than at the sight of so much death. When Instagram user Tony Bruschi and his two daughters decided to explore an old schoolhouse located at the Prairie Grove Battlefield State Park in Arkansas, they may have managed to capture a glimpse into the world of the supernatural. During their visit, they decided to set up a camera within the crawl space underneath the schoolhouse. Take a look at the footage they captured. A few moments into the clip, two shadowy black shapes pass in front of the camera. The way the figures seem to glide certainly has some viewers wondering if they could actually be ghosts of former soldiers, still lingering around the battlefield. Others are not so sure, however. They've suggested that the dark shapes could simply be shadows of people walking nearby, even though the uploader seems to imply that there was no one else in the area except for his daughters. So what do you think these amateur paranormal investigators have managed to capture on camera? Are they really ghosts, or is there another explanation behind this spooky footage? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. This short little clip purports to show a shadow entity of some kind haunting an attic. The video was uploaded to YouTube channel Carl Humberg in 2012. The description claims that a paranormal investigation team was sent to a 120-year-old building in an unknown part of the US to take a look at some strange activity. An infrared camera was set up to film around the clock. It would appear some kind of shape or figure has been caught moving in front of the camera. On the left-hand side of the screen, a shadow moves in and out of shot. According to the timestamp, this occurred at 3:19 PM. Unfortunately, the clip is short and it's difficult to see if anything could be causing the shadow. The uploader claims that the video has been analysed by paranormal experts such as Bill Murphy from Fact or Fake and the founders of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. It's unclear as to their stance on the video as the uploader never posted their opinions. The general consensus is that it's an interesting video that does show something strange, but it's just too brief and unclear to make any definitive judgment. This next clip was originally posted to the Home for Scary Ghost Videos, the Facebook page Do You Believe in the Unexplained? Host to a vast array of similar videos, this clip in particular is sure to give viewers the creeps. Recording an empty hallway, the majority of the clip plays out with no one in sight. The quiet emptiness of the hallway is exactly why it's so frightening when the smallest of shadows appears to creep around a corner, only to quickly creep away in the direction in which it initially arrived. The small shadow appears to be about the size of a small child moving as a person would. It walks around the corner, then darts back in the opposite direction. The appearance of the small shadow is even more shocking due to just how quickly it appears and then leaves in the midst of the complete stillness of the hallway. With no human attached to the shadow, it appears it could be some kind of supernatural being. But without further evidence, we may never know the truth about this mysterious clip. So we'll throw it out to you, the audience. What do you think that strange shadow is? Let me know in the comment section below. When these three women had their photo taken out the front of their home, they couldn't have known the chilling image that would develop. Behind the three ladies, you can see what looks like the shadow of a man wearing a hat. If you look closely, you can see that the shadow figure has placed a hand on the shoulder of the woman on the left. It is said that 3 days after this photo was taken, the woman died in a horrible car accident. The photographer claims that there was certainly no hatted man standing behind the woman when the photograph was taken, and is simply baffled by the image. Perhaps this strange shadow appeared as a sort of omen, foreshadowing the tragic events that would unfold just 3 days later. The first video on our list of shadow people videos was uploaded by YouTuber HRDE2. This short clip shows a completely still computer screen. Not much to see, right? Actually, it's the reflection in the screen that holds the key to the mystery. In the top right corner of the screen, you can see the reflection of a window somewhere on the other side of the room. If you watch closely, you can see something pass quickly in front of it. It moves so fast that if you blinked, you would probably miss it. However, if you slow the footage down, it becomes clear that the figure passing in front of the window is indeed human in shape. However, it moves at a speed that seems to be unnatural. Extreme speed is often thought to be a common characteristic of a shadow person. Just one of the reasons why it's said to be difficult to see shadow people in anything other than our visual periphery. To make matters even more eerie, the slow motion replay reveals that the figure's body remains perfectly upright and doesn't change position as it flies across the room, not at all natural if it were human. According to the uploader, there are walls on either side of the window, which suggests that it would be impossible for someone to run past from the outside. Furthermore, they were supposedly alone in the room, so no one could have passed by on the inside either. They believe that the mysterious entity in this footage is evidence of the existence of shadow people. Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky is one of the most notorious asylums in America. Built in 1910, the hospital was used to house patients suffering from tuberculosis during what was considered an outbreak of the White Plague. At the time, there was no known cure for the disease, which was mostly treated with plenty of fresh air and sunshine. However, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium was also tasked with finding more effective measures to fight the infectious disease. Controversial methods were tested, with some patients having their ribs removed and their lungs inflated with makeshift balloons. It's thought that many thousands of patients died at the sanatorium. The death toll grew so high that the facility was forced to build an underground tunnel, affectionately known as the Death Chute, that would be used to ferry hundreds of diseased corpses to a nearby railway station. Some estimate that as many as 64,000 patients died at Waverly Hills over the years. Visitors today often report the echoed calls of children singing down the long abandoned hallways. Cold spots are often experienced, and an ominous feeling of being watched is ever present. This photo was taken by an intrepid explorer who decided to visit the hospital alone. He said that nothing particularly unusual took place while he walked around the facility. However, when he reviewed his photos later that night, he noticed something very strange. In one image, a black entity can be seen obscuring the lens of the camera. It lacks definition and is devoid of any light whatsoever. It looks like it has a head and body and is perhaps moving away from the camera. The man is certain that no one else was around as he was exploring the old hospital alone. This next eerie photo was uploaded to our Facebook community page by Jocelyn DeVault. Jocelyn writes, "This picture is about 10 years old. The cousin of my daughter's friend was babysitting this young girl and was taking photos of her dancing to a Disney movie. This very creepy dark figure showed up behind her in one of the photos. This is 100% authentic and very upsetting to all involved. In the picture, you can indeed see a shadowy figure standing behind the young girl. It's dense and amorphous and seems to be devoid of light altogether." In a follow-up comment, Jocelyn notes that she expects doubters and that it's good to be skeptical, and agrees that the photo is almost hard to believe, but maintains that the image is 100% real. Most of our viewers who saw the image posted agreed that the figure was frightening. A lot of people were genuinely concerned for her family's safety and recommend calling a priest. All these years later, the family and everyone involved still can't explain the ominous figure in the photo and say it's still incredibly unnerving to see. There's very little information available about this video. In many ways, it makes the footage even more mysterious. However, it could suggest that it might be the work of a clever editor. The clip appears to have been captured in a snowy backyard or possibly even a cemetery. It shows a dark figure running through the snow, and it's not long before you realise that it doesn't appear to be a normal person at all. Its body looks like a shadow and its eyes glow in the darkness of the night. The camera follows the shadow person as it makes its way through the snow-covered grass. It almost seems as if it's attempting to sneak through the yard without being seen or heard. The truly unusual thing about this shadow person is that it clearly appears to have feet, yet it doesn't seem to leave any footprints in the snow. Those who suggest this video might simply show a human or even an animal will likely change their minds at the end of the clip. After creeping across the yard for a few seconds, the entity vanishes without a trace, disappearing back into the shadows that it came from. The owner of this home kept telling her kids that she was seeing a strange shadow person out the corner of her eyes. She said she always felt uncomfortable in certain rooms and thought she was being watched by some unseen force. Her kids would often laugh it off, telling her that she's going mad. That was until this creepy photo was taken on Thanksgiving Day some years ago. Prior to lunch being served, the daughter was taking photos of her boyfriend sitting at the table. This is what she captured. It shows a very tall, dark entity dominating the hallway. The edges of the figure look smoky and translucent, while the center appears to be devoid of all light. When the mother saw the photograph, she almost cried. She said that's the exact spirit she keeps seeing out the corner of her eye. What do you think this is? Is this house haunted by some unseen force or shadow spirit that's making itself known to this poor family? It's not known exactly where this next eerie piece of footage was captured, but it's believed to be somewhere in India. The snippet was shared to Twitter by Sitio Paranormal. The clip is taken from a security feed at a train station. We can see a few people walking by, when suddenly something freaky happens. Watch. Out of nowhere, a shadow appears and starts following a man and a young boy. It looks like the dark presence enters the man just as he pauses eerily right on the train track. Thankfully, he moves on and the pair leave the area unscathed. But still, we're left wondering what that strange shadow might be. All sorts of theories have been thrown out there. Everything from ghosts, demons, and astral planers have been suggested. There were also some more down-to-earth explanations, like a bug on the lens or even a malfunctioning camera. So which of these theories do you think is the most likely? Let us know in the comments down below. This is allegedly a photo of a shadow figure that haunts the shores of Pawleys Island, South Carolina. For decades, residents have reported sightings of a strange, shadowy man that appears on the beach right before severe storms and natural disasters. They say he comes as a premonition for the local people, warning them of impending danger. Legends say that the Grey Man is the ghost of a young traveller who tragically died many years ago. They say he was on his way to see his fiancée when he got caught in quicksand in the marshland that once surrounded Pawleys Island. Now his shadow is left behind, forced to eternally wander in search of his lost love. Couple Jim and Clara Moore claim they saw the Grey Man on the beach the day before Hurricane Hugo battered the region in 1989. They said they saw a strange legless man down on the beach. When they called out to him, the figure vanished from sight. The following day, the Category 5 storm hit shore, causing more than $7 billion worth of damage. When the Moores were allowed to return home, they found their house completely intact. However, the neighbours on all sides had their homes obliterated by the raging storm. The Moores swear that the Grey Man appeared as an omen, warning them of the catastrophe that was yet to take place. They feel they were blessed by the spirit who spared them from the storm. According to YouTuber Whatever Entertainment, his family had been hearing some scary sounds coming from the basement of their Pennsylvania home. for several weeks before he managed to capture this chilling footage. At first, he thought they were just hearing their cats going up and down the basement stairs, but soon realised that the pets were not to blame. The video begins as the brave YouTuber starts listening for the sounds that were the initial cause of his suspicions.
So anyways, I'm just going, you hear, it sounded like someone walking up down the steps.
When he begins to hear footsteps and banging sounds, he heads for the basement stairs, hoping to at least capture the sounds on tape as proof of the bizarre happenings. However, what he does capture is much more than he bargained for. He flicks on the light and heads down the stairs, calling out to any noisy entities that might be occupying his basement. After taking a few steps down, he's shocked to see a dark, shadowy head peer around the corner of the stairwell. It's only visible for a moment before disappearing back into the basement. After a moment of shock, he runs down the rest of the stairs to chase the shadow person, but it's once again disappeared into the darkness.
There's nothing down here. There's nothing down here.
This is some very creepy footage uploaded to a channel on YouTube called Faceless Nights. In it, we see a gamer setting up his Xbox Kinect while testing a live stream. He browses a few options, changes a few vision modes, but when he changes to night vision mode, he captures something truly terrifying. On the right of screen, you can clearly see a shadow person lurking in the rear of the room. The figure almost looks like it's wearing a black robe. It has long, slender fingers and a strange floating quality to it. The entity darts off screen as soon as it notices it's visible on camera. The guy filming looks very startled as he double checks the room for anything resembling the strange black spectre. When the video went live, it quickly got spread around social media, racking up nearly 2 million views. Skeptics thought that there were jump cuts edited into the clip, but as Faceless Nights explains in another video, the Kinect changes aspect ratio every time a new vision mode is used, so it looks as though things move on the desk or the person changes position. Faceless Nights doesn't have an explanation for what he captured, but he fervently denies that he tampered with the footage in any way. With this encounter in mind, how creepy is the tagline, "What else does Kinect see?" When paranormal investigators, Proving Demons, and Phantoms Paranormal, Elemental Encounters teamed up to explore an abandoned rundown hotel, capturing shadow people videos probably wasn't even on their radar. As professional paranormal investigators, they're well aware of how difficult it is to capture shadow people on film. These entities are known for moving very quickly, which is why many people who see them tend to question their own senses. However, the investigators hit the jackpot when one of the cameras they had rolling captured this shadowy figure. The team member who captured the footage didn't even realise he had recorded the shadow person until he reviewed the footage sometime later. He was getting shots of one of the hotel's hallways when the shadow creature made its appearance. As the camera pans down the hallway, the shadow person speeds away from the film crew, barely staying within the frame of the camera. We see one last shot of it before it disappears inside one of the rooms on the right side of the hallway. One of the most intriguing things about this shadow person is the way a dark mist seems to trail behind it as it moves. This is often thought to be one of the key characteristics of these types of entities, indicating that they're not a corporeal body, but a creature of mist and shadow. The Queen Mary is reported to be one of the most haunted ships in America. Guests and tourists often claim they see and hear things they can't quite explain. The ship even runs its own ghost tours on board, showing paranormal enthusiasts parts of the vessel that are normally off limits to regular visitors. Legends say that one of the staterooms of the ship is haunted by a man who was allegedly murdered there, while staff and crew have given first-person accounts of a little girl who stalks the long hallways of the ship. They say the girl tragically drowned in the A-class passenger swimming pool back when the ship served as a luxury liner. This photo was taken on board the Queen Mary sometime in 2008. It shows a robust, shadowy figure that resembles the infamous Hat Man that we just talked about. Again, the center of the entity is devoid of light and the edges are like vapor. Many consider this photo one of the best pieces of evidence that the Queen Mary is indeed haunted. YouTuber Average American 2019 was surely not expecting to record any shadow people when he captured this creepy footage. The video begins as two friends are seen descending several flights of stairs in what appears to be an old apartment building.
Man, serious. I don't look at it. Just...
The audio is difficult to make out at times. However, it sounds like one is talking to the other about the strange things he's seen in the building.
Don't look at it. It'll just do itself. So...
Then, as he and his friend head down another flight of stairs, you can clearly see the shadowy head of a human figure passing by, moving up the stairs as they continue walking down. Neither of the men seem to notice as they continue on by. It was only upon later review of the footage that the shadow person made its presence known. The sighting of the mysterious figure here is quite unusual too, as the stairwell is brightly lit, but its appearance is unmistakable. This photo was taken in Alcatraz, a former prison complex often cited to be one of the most haunted locations in the US. Visitors to Alcatraz often report strange phenomena while touring the site. They feel cold spots, hear whispers in empty rooms, and often experience inexplicable feelings of despair or rage. People claim to see shadows moving and cell doors opening on their own. When photographer Glenn Shelton took this strange photo, he believed it to be definitive proof that the prison complex is haunted by otherworldly beings. While the photo doesn't depict a shadow person as such, it has captured a long black shroud of some kind. It has many of the properties that witnesses report when seeing shadow people. If you look, the object doesn't seem to react to lighting in the same way the other parts of the building do, and it has a sort of misty or smoky quality to it. Could this be the spirit of a former inmate who is now forced to eternally linger in limbo among the dark halls of Alcatraz? One of our viewers, Marcel VDW, shared an unsettling video to our Slapped Ham Facebook group. Marcel says he's from South Africa and every so often the local residents have something called load shedding. Periodically, the power is cut off for 2 or more hours to ease the load of national power usage. During these load shedding periods, Marcel uses his camera app and hits record, which automatically turns on the camera's flash so he can see and navigate around his house. The result is that Marcel has a lot of pointless videos of himself walking around the house in the dark. However, in one of these clips, it seems something rather unsettling was inadvertently captured. Take a look. The load shedding video shows Marcel getting a drink in the kitchen. However, watch closely as he walks down the hallway. See if you can spot anything strange. It is hard to see at first, but at the end of the darkened hallway you can just make out a figure as it slips around the corner. If we brighten the image, you can see that it's actually a shirtless man. So there's 3 possible explanations here. The first is that this video is all a hoax and that we're just seeing a roommate or friend. The other 2 options, however, are a little more creepy. The second is that we're seeing an intruder lurking in the dark. This option's pretty chilling considering Marcel claims that he didn't know anyone was there. So it's possible a prowler was lurking in the dark the whole time. This is conceivable given the scheduled power outages. Perhaps some burglars plan their break-ins during these times. The last option is that this is a full-bodied apparition caught on camera. Perhaps Marcel's apartment is haunted by some kind of presence. So I'll throw this one out to you, the viewers. Which of these three options do you think this most likely is? Love to hear your opinions in the comments below. This eerie photo was sent to us by Josh Nemo Fernald. Josh says that about 6 years ago, he and his friends were staying at this hotel in the Detroit metro area when another friend was coming to visit. The visiting friend snapped this photo to let the group know he was just out the front. The group didn't think too much of it. That was until they had a closer look at the snap. In the image, you can make out a strange dark figure. Whatever it is, it seems to have a large torso and short, bendy legs. It even looks like it might be wearing a hat, but the whole figure appears to be devoid of light altogether. The eerie thing is, there was no one standing out the front of the hotel when this photo was taken. To make things even creepier, there's been numerous deaths reported on the property. There's been several overdoses and even a murder that took place in the hotel. So what's to be made of this eerie dark figure? Could it really be a lingering spirit that's tethered to the site where they lost their life? Take a closer look and judge for yourself. This next series of photos was sent to us by one of our viewers, Yolanda Dominguez Beatty. In the first photo, Yolanda was home alone watching some TV when she took a casual snap of her new shoes. When she looked at the photo, she couldn't quite believe what she was seeing. In the reflection of the TV, you can see a shadowy figure. Again, Yolanda was home alone and has no idea what the figure is. There was nothing there that could have cast a silhouette. Could a shadow figure be lurking in Yolanda's home? In a second photo shared, we can see Yolanda and some of her friends at a bowling alley. Strangely, in the background, we can see the transparent head of an older male. The group is adamant that there was no one behind them at the time the photo was taken, otherwise they wouldn't have taken the snap in the first place. It is possible this second one could be some kind of malfunction with the camera, as there's a little bit of motion blur evident throughout the photo. Yolanda showed the picture to the bowling alley manager. They were freaked out and struggled to explain the strange transparent head. So does Yolanda have a knack for capturing evidence of the paranormal, or are the photos just a coincidence? Let me know where you sit on this in the comments down below. This photo was posted to a ghost investigation forum with a chilling story attached. Late one night, Michelle was up cleaning her fish tank when she noticed someone standing in the other room. At first, she thought it was her husband and simply dismissed it, saying, "What's the matter, dear? Can't sleep?" When she turned and looked at the person standing in the next room, she went completely cold and nearly fainted. Standing in the room was the clear outline of her ex-husband, who had died of cancer several years earlier. Michelle panicked and closed her eyes. When she opened them again, the spirit had gone. In a fit of panic, she ran upstairs and told her husband what had happened, but he assured her that it was nothing to worry about. Several weeks later, Michelle's in-laws were visiting, so she decided to take some photos. When she reviewed the photos later that night, she went numb at what she saw. In the photo, behind her mother-in-law was a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the room. It was exactly like the figure she saw just weeks earlier. Did Michelle capture the shadow form of her ex-husband? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. There's not a lot of solid information about these two photos. They often appear in ghost investigation forums, but no one seems to know their origins. The two photos, presumably taken one after the other, show a smoky black entity hovering in the middle of the room. The first photo looks like it has thin, outstretched arms as though it's about to grab at someone. Plumes of a strange, translucent aura seem to waft up towards the roof. The second image looks as though it's caught the moment the shadow is disappearing, almost as though it's been blown by the wind and is vaporizing into nothing. Could these photos be some kind of glitch, or have they captured something far more sinister? Our last clip of the day seems to show something genuinely terrifying. It was sent to the paranormal Facebook page El Mundo DKBZA. This family was out camping when a series of photos were taken to remember the occasion. Everything seemed perfectly normal and the photos didn't show anything strange either, or so they thought. iPhones have a live photo feature that captures a few seconds of footage after a photo is taken. You can then press on a photo and it'll play out a few seconds of movement. It would appear this live photo has captured something chilling. Take a look. Just next to the boy on the left, you can make out a grey, transparent figure crawling on all fours. Whatever it is, it seems to scurry out of view. So far, no one's been able to explain this eerie sighting. Is it a ghost, a cryptid, or something else entirely? Take another look and decide for yourself. This is some strange footage that was captured live on The Larry King Show. Live on air, CNN is doing a tour of Michael Jackson's home in Neverland shortly after he passed away. As the camera crew walk around the house, a shadow figure can be seen passing quickly down the end of the hallway. It looks to be a lurching, transparent presence, as though it's the shadow of someone walking by. This footage has been seen by millions of people, and some say it's the ghost of Michael himself. Skeptics claim it's nothing more than a shadow of one of the film crew or staff that can't be seen on that angle. Others say that it's impossible for a person to cast that quick-moving shadow without being seen. Whatever the case may be, it makes for some very compelling footage, one that has captured the attention of millions of people. SEK Paranormal is an up-and-coming ghost investigation channel on YouTube. Based in Sweden, they travel around the country looking for evidence of the afterlife. In this episode, Emil, the lead investigator, explores an old train station where allegedly several people have died. He begins by setting up his equipment in the dark industrial lot.
So, what I will do now, I will try an EVP session, and I will just going to start Ghost Tube here.
While setting up for an EVP session, Emil hears some eerie sounds.
Right besides this wall, I heard it. Something.
Dislike.
Again, dislike. Vad är... Pamela, again. Vad är du inte tycker om? Kan du berätta för mig vad det är du inte vill eller tycker om nu?
Then the communication device he's using keeps repeating the same name.
Är du här med mig nu?
Dislike. Pamela.
Dislike Pamela.
Dislike. Pamela.
What is happening? Vad är det du inte tycker om?
Pamela.
As if this isn't eerie enough, things begin to ratchet up a notch when more noises are heard.
You're here now.
Pamela.
Pamela! Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. Ooh. You heard that? Oh my God. That I have chills all over my body. A plank here just moved.
Later in the investigation, Emil suspects that a person may be lurking nearby, eyeing off his camera and other equipment.
Wait. Hallå? Hey, har någon? What the hell?
Now it's quite clear that there isn't anyone nearby despite the unnerving sounds.
I 1000% thought that there was coming a person walking right up to me here. Okay, that was creepy. I thought that I was going to be attacked, that maybe some psycho have seen my cameras and stuff, so...
But watch what Emil's static camera has managed to pick up. A grey face looks around the corner of the wall. Here it is again, brightened up and slowed down. Around the corner of that wall is just a dead end with nowhere for anyone to hide. Emil says this could be one of the greatest sightings he's ever managed to capture on camera in all his years of investigating the supernatural. He's certain that no one else was nearby and thinks this could indeed be a ghost caught on camera.
I directly got, to defense mode, like what the fuck, but then I came here, and as always, there is not a single person.
A TikTok account called Our Haunted House has gained quite a following on the popular social media platform due to their extremely chilling videos. Their content is centered around their house, which is allegedly haunted, as evidenced by the many clips they've published. In this first short video, we watch what appears to be a security camera of the front door. All seems normal until the door suddenly opens. While this event in and of itself could be explained by a sudden gust of wind or the door wasn't actually closed properly to begin with, what happens next will likely send chills down your spine. As a man approaches the door, it appears to close all by itself.
Did somebody open the door? Did somebody open the door?
Naturally, ever since this video was published, viewers have been divided. Some have called for the homeowner to protect the property with salt and sage, while others think the door's unusual movement might simply have been the result of string or fishing wire. However, in a subsequent post, the TikToker released this video which might prove that something paranormal really is at play here. Take a look.
Holy shit, there's somebody out there.
Watching that again, when he peers through the window, there appears to be a dark, menacing figure in the shadows. However, when the man opens the door, the figure is gone. He searches the surrounding area, but finds nothing. It's like the figure simply vanished. In a later video uploaded to the channel, it seems that whatever was standing at the door might now be inside the home. As the footage begins, we see the man setting up a camera in an effort to catch the entity on film. Take a look at what he eventually captured. The door in the background slowly opens. Then suddenly a pair of intense glowing eyes appear. They soon vanish from sight, but the creepiness continues when a dark shape seems to rise from behind the couch. A few seconds later, the door slams shut. In this clip, the TikToker claims to have captured the voice of the mysterious entity that's been plaguing them. Take a listen.
Somebody open the...
So is this house really haunted? With so much video evidence, one certainly has to wonder.
Out there.
Head over to our haunted house on TikTok and judge for yourself. As always, I'll leave links to the channel in the description box below. When YouTuber KShizzle27 decided to take a cute video of his dogs, he might have inadvertently managed to capture a shadow person on camera. The video begins as he's recording the dogs playing on his bed.
That's my sock. Let go my sock.
He then puts the camera down for a few minutes as he takes them outside. Shortly after leaving the room, the camera captures something very chilling indeed. A strange shadow passes across the room. It moves quickly and is very light in colour, making it difficult to get a clear picture of what it actually looks like. However, if you slow the footage down, it's clear that the entity is human in shape. To make matters even more terrifying, mere seconds after the shadow person passes across the room, a framed picture on the wall begins to shake back and forth, as if disturbed by a strong wind. The YouTuber returns to his room and appears to be totally unaware of what happened in his absence, and it wasn't until he reviewed the footage that he made the startling discovery. Gangwapi is a YouTube channel based in Thailand. The team of paranormal investigators travel around Southeast Asia looking for proof that ghosts really do exist. In this episode, they investigate an old abandoned property that they had heard rumours about. Locals say that the area is heavily haunted by spirits and other supernatural beings. One shack in particular is said to be where most of the activity happens. The team heads in to take a look. The surrounding jungle is dense and overgrown. While the area is clearly abandoned and eerie, nothing particularly strange happens at first. Eventually, the team decides to set up a makeshift altar. They present an offering to any nearby spirits that may be present. It seems the offering works as things quickly take a turn for the worse. Watching that again, in slow motion, a dark figure crawls up the wall and escapes out the top of the roof. You can hear some clunking sounds coming from on top of the roof. The team runs to safety and tries to make sense of what just happened. Eventually, they muster up the courage to take another look in the shack. As they look around, there's no sign of anything at all. So are the local rumours true after all? Is this abandoned shack home to something supernatural? Take another look at the sighting and make your own judgment. The Hat Man is one of the most creepy and pernicious sightings of the shadow people. A tall, slender male presence is often reported by people all around the world. They say a shadowy figure watches them sleep, and it always has a wide-brimmed hat on. Thousands of individual sightings have been described by people from all walks of life, yet somehow they all characterize the same figure. This photo was captured by a woman who was dozing in her bed in 2017. She was listening to a podcast and felt herself drifting off to sleep. Suddenly, she felt a dark, ominous presence in the room and glanced over to the window. She claims that a tall figure with a hat was standing by her bed, watching intently. She grabbed her phone and took a quick photo, but realized there was no one else in the room. When she looked at the photo, she couldn't believe what she saw. Indeed, there was a solid black entity standing in the room, wearing what looked like a top hat. There are several scientific explanations for shadow people sightings. People who suffer from sleep paralysis often report being watched by shadow beings. They say dark entities enter the room and watch them sleep. Some neuroscientists suggest that these conditions cause the sufferer to wake in a heightened emotional state, which can cause mild hallucination, in this case moving shadows. The most striking aspect about this phenomenon is that the reports are also congruent. They all describe almost the exact same thing, a dark, ominous figure that likes to watch people sleep. The Hat Man is the most troubling of all because it's such an oddly specific sighting. How is it that thousands of people all around the world all characterize the Hat Man exactly the same? No one knows exactly where this video originated. However, the man who recorded it supposedly heard mysterious noises in his home in the nights prior to capturing the footage. As he cautiously explores the darkened house, he notices a strange flickering light coming from another room.
Hello?
Suddenly, a dark, shadowy figure can be seen walking up the stairs.
Oh my
Only its legs and feet are visible. However, there's little doubting that there is indeed something there. The man immediately begins to freak out and contemplates leaving the house. However, he soon remembers that he's left his phone upstairs. He bravely makes his way to the base of the staircase, and just as he's about to go up, a chilling sound rushes out of the darkness. Clearly spooked by the noise, the man decides to leave his phone behind and exits the house immediately. So what do you think this man has managed to capture on camera? Could it be an elusive shadow person? Love to get your opinions on this one in the comments section below.
Since moving here, I have felt like this house just didn't want us here.
In May 2022, mother of two, Jessicacatanesi, shared a clip to TikTok that seems to show something lurking in the family's house. The clip went viral, cementing Jessica's suspicions that the house is haunted. Take a look at what's been captured. Jessica and her daughter dance for the camera and all seems perfectly fine. However, if you pay close attention to the bedroom in the back, you can clearly see a dark shape move past the doorway. In a comment on the clip, Jessica confirms that she and her daughter were the only ones in the house at the time, and her husband was out with their dogs. So nothing should have been moving in the back bedroom. What makes this video even more creepy is that Jessica had always suspected the military housing they live in is haunted by some kind of presence. 1 year prior, when the family first moved in, the floor in the kitchen became unusually hot. Builders had to replace the entire floor and couldn't quite explain the reason for the high temperatures. The family also began seeing things like shadows, doors would open and close, and lights would turn on and off, seemingly all on their own. In another video, Jessica explains that her toddler has begun talking to an invisible friend.
Is that a rhino?
No, it's Jessica.
Where's Jessica?
It's right there.
Go say hi to Jessica.
The toddler says that the friend is also called Jessica, but it's a shadow and he only talks to it down the hallway. Spurred on by these eerie events, Jessica does some research on the property and discovers that a lot of the military houses in the area were built on top of an old cemetery. Just to add more nightmare fuel to the fire, some Ring home security footage shows more eerie activity in the hallway of the home. In this footage, the house is empty, yet you can clearly see shadows appearing in the hallway. In another update, Jessica says that shortly after moving into the house, she randomly passed out, despite having never fainted before in her life.
About a month ago, I was on the couch and I just passed out. Never in my life have I ever done anything like that before, and thank God my husband was home.
In another clip captured by their Ring security system, we can see the front door to the house open. It seems to open by itself, despite Jessica and her husband diligently locking it every morning. The house was empty when this footage was captured. With the alleged haunting just getting more and more strange, the family has since applied to the military to move house. They have had a pest inspector check the entire property. The family were hoping a wild animal living in the roof might explain the eerie noises and the moving shadows. However, the pest inspector found no sign of animals or bugs of any kind. They also invited a priest to come and bless their home. He stayed for several hours, said prayers with the family, and offered spiritual advice to the family as they transitioned to a new home. Jessica says that they've found organising the move challenging because everyone in the family keeps getting sick as other obstacles keep arising.
My toddler, my baby, and my husband are all super sick. So now we can't get the house blessed and we can't move out. So
Thousands of viewers offered their support to the family in the comments of the video. Some said they should be careful as it appears whatever's haunting the home may be keeping the family sick so they can't leave. This is definitely an eerie story backed up by equally unsettling videos. It's a developing situation, so as always I'll put links to Jessica's TikTok in the description below. It's well worth checking out. While our previous clip wasn't as mysterious as it first appeared, this next one is a little harder to explain. It was uploaded to Instagram by Paranoid Normal. It's some security footage taken in a back alley. We can see some young kids taking some bikes. However, as one of the kids goes back for another bike in the background, something truly odd happens. Watch. A pair of shadowy legs walk to the right. The figure then returns and seems to reach out to the boy, who turns around to have a look. It returns once more before the clip abruptly ends. A lot of people in the comments said that this is a shadow person sighting. Many paranormal investigators believe that shadow people are a type of spiritual entity that lurk in our world. Some say they're lost souls, others have suggested they could be interdimensional beings or aliens. Regardless of what they are, tens of thousands of people all around the world have reported seeing these beings with remarkable similarity. People suffering from insomnia or sleep paralysis often describe shadowy people watching them out the corner of their eyes. So are these shadowy entities real? Judging by the reports, the thousands of testimonies, and the countless videos that seem to show them, one can't help but wonder about these things when it's pitch black at 3 AM and you're all alone. Good thing everyone knows they can't get you when you're under a blankie. This photo was taken in the attic of an unknown restaurant in the US. For over a decade, employees reported strange sightings in the roof of the restaurant. They say they've seen shadows lurking, felt nauseous for no apparent reason, as well as had feelings of dread wash over them. Finally, one employee took a photo when they felt they were being watched. Later that night, when reviewing the photos, they spotted this ominous shadow figure. It has the clear outline of a head and shoulders, but its lower body looks almost like vapor and lacks any real definition. When co-workers saw the image, they all agreed that this is the shadow entity they had all seen over the years.
Now, if you enjoy these longer episodes, then check out our previous compilations. There's one right there. Otherwise, you can binge on our giant paranormal playlists right here as well. Now leave us a comment down below which one of these clips you thought was the scariest or weirdest. We love getting your feedback. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.